Hey, this is Eddie Olczyk. You're listening to Empty Betters with Nick, Mac, and Harrison.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 115 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes. I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Nick Manella. What is going on, buddy?
I just got home from work, walked down to the basement, grabbed like a bag of beers, just came up here. Now I get to talk about hockey for an hour.
Hey, life could be a whole lot worse than that.
Life could be a whole lot worse.
We got the giddy up and go a little earlier in the evening than we usually do. A little more pep in the step. I'm going to toss it across the screen to my other co-host up north, Mac Vogel. What's going on?
It's good. I'm still trying to figure out what just happened when Nick cracked that beer. It sounded like
it never cracked.
Had already been cracked or something like that. And
what?
It didn't sound like I didn't hear that.
What? Oh, it was so loud. It just popped here. Really?
Yeah. I didn't hear it. Yeah, Mac, you're not the only one. I was like,
yeah, it was like I didn't know what the hell was going on, but okay. Anyway,
I heard that.
You didn't hear the bush when it opened up.
No. By the way, have you guys seen these bad boys yet? The vintage.
Those are beautiful cans. Terrible
nice,
radio
right?
to start this one off, but
I know. My friend recently, I'm a big Natty Light truther when it comes to light beers that are a good bang for your buck, and a lot of my friends like to criticize me for that because we're out in Miller Lite, Coors Light country, whatever. Anyway, the other day I handed one of my buddies one of these, and he was like, "Oh, you know what? I kind of like drinking it more out of this can." But he did make a good point. He said that the other normal Natty Light cans kind of look like you're playing a video game, and it's like you acquired a beer. It's just like a generic beer look.
Like if it was like a sitcom, it would just say beer on the label
exactly.
or something like that. Yeah.
That vintage can you just showed kind of looks like a Miller Lite design, to be honest with you.
It sort of looks like an older Miller Lite. Yeah, you're right, actually. But
anyone who trashes Natty Light can go to hell. I'll die on that hill. I still drink it. I prefer it over pretty much anything, maybe other than Busch. But
good answer.
I'm with you. Natty Light rules.
It does.
If you're a Natty Light hater, you gotta relive your youth a little bit. You're starting to get a little too old for me.
Well, they always pull the card dumb. I'm not in college anymore. It's like that. Okay, in college, I drank every different kind of light beer. So what? I just can't drink light beer at all now, or.
When I was 17, I went down the Outer Banks with my buddy, and his cousin lives down there. His cousin was 35, 2 kids, wife, house, whole 9 yards. We're on the beach. He's rolling the kid on a wagon. He's got a cooler full of Natty Light. I was like, "You still drink Natty Light?" He goes, "I'll drink it till I die, brother." And I was just "Yep, that's how I'm going to be one day."
What's the famous John Daly quote? He's like, "I've been a Miller Lite guy since I was 8."
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, it is a thing, but all right, well, we'll get into the nitty gritty here. Enough little beer branding talk. Although I will say that the look of the can can influence the taste. I think that's a real thing.
Oh, big time.
But before we get going, we want to remind you that our merch on our website. Go check out our website, www.emptybetters.com. Click on shop, and you can find our merchandise over there. We're going to be doing a little overhaul of the website in the coming month, weeks, whatever. So not all the designs are going to stay up there. If you see one that you like, go there and grab it while it lasts. And before we get into the episode, just a reminder, this episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Brackish Life. Let's take a minute to talk about Brackish Life. If you're like us and grew up on the water and outdoors, then Brackish Life is perfect for you. They have a wide selection of gear from UV shirts to hoodies and hats. It's Real Bay apparel made by Real Bay people. Head to www.brackish.life today to check them out. A little salty, a little fresh. Brackish Life would like to say, sporting one of the UV shirts, Max sporting the hat. Honestly, I love their gear. An unsponsored opinion, best performance long sleeves in the game.
I completely agree. I do want to say a great shout out to Kyle and his family. They've been involved with this foundation called shorekids.com that helps families raise money for kids on the Eastern Shore that are in need. And they've been so helpful to that. Go check out shorekids.org to see all the great work that they've done. Just another fantastic philanthropic outreach by the Brackish Life team.
Absolutely. I'm going to toss it off to Mac for the question of the day.
All right. So this one just kind of came to me on a whim, and it takes a little bit of explaining. There's a few footnotes here, but let's see if I can get it across pretty simply to you guys and also the listeners. If you could bring back one player from your favorite NHL team, so obviously me and Nick, we're talking the Caps, Harry, we're talking the Penguins, one player from that team who is no longer on the team, but is still in the NHL, you get him for one full season and one cup run. Who would it be? The one caveat here is the player has to have played a game for your team before. He can't just be some prospect that you traded away for Marner at.
God damn it.
Yeah, whoops. You busted Nick's boil there. Mac, I think you have to have an answer since you thought of this already, right?
I kind of do. I mean, the reason I thought of it is because Jacob is making his debut today for the Detroit Red Wings. And like, obviously most Caps fans, I feel like would probably like say Vrana for this one, just because he's such a heartthrob and blah, blah, blah. That's not my answer. However, that's just what made me think of it. But I just started thinking of other Caps players that like either we had only for a couple of years, but I really think like had we had them longer, we could have done something with them. And honestly, the one that I kind of want back, at least right now, is Andre Burakovsky. I love his game. I love his game in Colorado. And I know that maybe his game would not be the way it is if he had stayed. But I'm not saying he should have stayed the whole time, right? In this scenario, we get him back like right now for 1 year. So
pulled the little European soccer move. You loan him to someone for conditioning and then pull him back.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think I'll go with Andre.
Harry?
I guess off the top of my head, I originally...
Gotta be Olimata, right?
Elite sniper Olimata.
That's right.
I guess off the top of my head, I was like, ooh, Fleury. But with the way Jari's played this season, I really wouldn't do that. I mean, who knows what comes playoff time, but Jari's had a real good season. Jordan Stahl comes to mind. He would probably be a good one, although Jeff Carter's filled in nicely. But if we had him on the wing, he had Stallsy on the third line like he's in Carolina, that would be pretty sick. Mccann. McCann would be definitely one. But we'll actually talk about him later in the episode. But
oh yeah,
kind of shopping for that like second line winger that could play with Gino and put up some points with Kapanen struggling. I think McCann would be a really good one.
That is a good one.
What about you, Nick?
Grubauer or Holtby right now.
Yeah, I was also trying to think of goalies. I almost was going to make everyone do a goalie and a skater because it's so different. Like Harry said with Fleury, like it's almost like a no-brainer answer to bring him back. But
yeah, I had a couple others come to mind. Like, I thought about Mojo just for like, but then I'm starting to get too into it. Like, oh, they can afford him with cap space and stuff. And then I start to overthink it. Thought about Dilly a little bit, like having Brendan Dillon back on the back end just to add a little, little muscle couldn't hurt. But another good one in there, I would say Jay Beagle for faceoffs.
Oh, hell yeah. I think that Brendan Dillon was like an absolute Washington Capital as far as like personality and like physicality and all that goes. But I thought there was a little too much like sluggishness to his game. Like he just wasn't quick enough.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I guess my final answer would be Jared McCann. I think
that's a good one.
I don't think he's the best player on that list, but I think he's what we need the most on that list at this point in time.
I think I'm going to stick with Andre Burakovsky for my final answer. And I'm envisioning him like being what we need Daniel Sprong to be right now. Like he's still going to come back to the Caps and play on the third line with us or something, but it's going to be like Berkey.
But he scores like 20 goals.
It's going to be like Berkey, Eller, and like Joe Snively, or like Berkey, Eller, and McMichael or something like that. Like that would be pretty filthy.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. Would be a good term. Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. Nick, I'm going to toss it off to you for the league news.
Sure. A couple milestones to get us started today. Rick Nash had his jersey retired by the Columbus Blue Jackets on Saturday night. Is he the first Blue Jacket to have his jersey retired? Does anyone know?
I think he is.
He is.
Very
weren't-
cool.
Was I right that they were maybe the only team that doesn't have one?
After Nashville retired Renee's last
Right.
week or 2 weeks ago, I think so, right? Because I don't think they had done one yet.
Does Minnesota have one? Do they have Mikko Koivu retired or no?
I
Or
thought
Ga-
they did.
They don't have Gabrick's technically not even retired, is he?
Right.
Right, yeah, he still plays professional, I think.
They
I
did
can't-
retire the number 1 because of their fans. Don't forget that.
Oh my God.
Forget it. Yeah, let's just move on from that.
Exactly. Well said. Mark Giordano, I actually got to see this one in person. He played his 1,000th game in BC as the Kraken fell to the Caps. Gotta love that. And then so did Wayne Simmonds. He played in his 1,000th game the other night as well. So we want to say congrats to those guys. And fun fact, Ovi and Backstrom are actually going to play in their 1,000th game together tonight against the Flames.
I'm so excited for that.
That'll be cool. It's kind of like a meaningless stat in the grand scheme of things, but
Yeah.
it's still cool.
It's mostly been cool just seeing all the highlights and stuff that people have been posting on Twitter all day. But
Yeah.
I'd be very curious to see how many duos have played 1,000 games together on the same team.
they
That's a good
actually,
one.
I'm trying to think who posted that. Somebody posted that exact thing. Let me see if I can find it. Keep going.
Yeah, Gino, assuming Gino stays a Penguin after this season, I will riot if he doesn't. If he's here next season, he'll play his 1,000th game like in the first month of the season, and then him and Sid would hit that. But I will riot if he's not. Let that be known. Also, shout out Wayne Simmonds for 1,000 games. But the way that guy plays, it's a shock that his body still works. Chucks him, power forward, hits, you name it, he does it all. And then Giordano, I believe, undrafted, correct? Right.
I think you might be right.
All right, I have the list. So it was Ben Raby. It's Ovi and Backstrom to become 9th set of NHL teammates to play 1,000 games together. So there's 8 others.
Is it just the 85 Oilers?
Actually, there's only one.
Let's hear it.
Wow. Actually, okay, here we go. So we have Gordie Howe and Alex Del Vecchio in Detroit. And then we've got Henrik Sedin and Daniel Sedin, obviously. Then we got Kopitar and Brown for the Kings. They have played, it looks like 1,147. Nick Lidstrom and Chris Draper for the
That's a good one.
Wings. 1,107 is their total.
That's 1,000 games in playoff position too.
Yeah, honestly, holy crap. Brent Seabrook and Duncan Keith, 1,069. Nice. Larry Robinson and Bob Gainey for the Habs.
Ooh, for the Habs.
Yeah. Tim Horton, Timmy, and George
R.I.P.
Armstrong for the Leafs. And finally, Mark Messier and Kevin Lowe. And that one is for Edmonton and New York. They both.
That's right. Because I think they went over to New York around the same time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's an interesting list.
Yeah.
I
Shout out Ben
definitely,
Raby for that.
I'm a little surprised. You want to know which one really came to my brain was Le Cavalier St. Louis. I thought that was going to come up there, but
he bounced around a little bit.
Yeah.
And St. Louis got moved
At the end.
first, right?
at the end, I thought they had. I'm pretty sure they were there
Cavalier
for
went to
12 years.
Philly or something at the end.
And
didn't he?
LA too.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, you're right.
and LA. I thought maybe they got it before they.
I
both
want to say
shipped
they're
out.
somewhere around 700 together or something like that.
That sounds right.
800.
Maybe. Well,
From those NHL legends to another, big shout out to Yogs. He, we all know he plays for and owns his home team based in Kladno in the Czech Republic. Well, he's moving their game, which holds, from their home arena, which holds about 4,000 to 5,000 people, to the O2 Arena in Prague, which is the second largest hockey venue in Europe and seats around 18,000 people. So basically an NHL rink. And
Wow.
all of the proceeds from this game are going to go to help out Ukrainian refugees seeking assistance in the Czech Republic. So good guy of the week for sure goes to Yogs.
Road trip to Prague, fellows.
Yes, please, in a heartbeat. This week, for the first time since entering the league in 2018, the Vegas Golden Knights were not in a playoff spot based on points percentage.
How about that stat? Wow, that's a fun one. I love that.
I think you should probably note the bullet point under there too, just for reference.
They're currently back in a playoff position and they're third in the Pacific with 68 points. But I wanted to pose this question to you guys. Will this team miss the playoffs this year? Because I've seen a lot of people online that seem to think that they will.
They're not missing the playoffs. Come on, guys. Like, seriously, you really think they're going to miss it? Let me read you Pacific right now. So obviously Calgary's a lock. I think LA is going to be a lock. They look pretty good right now. Edmonton's in shambles. Anaheim is in shambles. Vancouver's starting to get hot, but I think they're probably more wild card positions. So yeah, I think Vegas probably takes third in the Pacific.
It's crazy to me that we're saying LA is a lock, but it does feel that way at this point. Like
it kind of does.
They're really storming ahead. They've almost played 60 games now too. And like I don't see them like they would really have to shit the bed in the final 20 games of the year to like not make the playoffs. Yeah.
They're a stingy team, man. They I'll get on them. I'll talk about them more later in the episode, sure. But do you really think Vegas is going to slide below Edmonton and Anaheim at this rate? I mean, I don't.
Probably not.
It's all going to depend on what the hell is going on with Robin Lehner. I don't think we ever got to the bottom of that. He was just like out for the year and then now he's just not.
Yeah. So for anyone who listened, I think like 4 episodes ago, we said that Lehner was out for the season with a torn labrum and we were all like, oof. And then like 2 weeks later he was playing and I was like, where did we read this? I was trying to find who tweeted that, but couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Wow. Did we get hoaxed? Did we like find like the Vegas version of like
what, like the
Bebop,
Avs broadcast last night falling for the
Did you see that the Petrie thing,
man,
right?
That was so funny.
That was really weird.
Hook, line, and sinker for what was it? Jeff Petrie being traded to the Leafs or something like that.
It was either that or the Rangers. I can't remember, but the guy who read it, it was an account that said Montreal Canadiens, but instead of the check mark, it had the number 7 next to it, but it looked like a check mark.
There's a lot of accounts that use that little 7 in the bubble that looks a lot like the check.
Also, like the one that, let's be honest, has gotten, I think each of us at least once, is Puck Empire versus Puck Empre.
Yeah, I have definitely fallen victim to that numerous times.
And I do want to say, shout out Puck Empire, one of the best pages on Instagram. And I'd also like to shout out Puck Empre, whoever that is absolutely hysterical.
Well, Noah Hockey Stick emoji literally got like earlier this season, he had it trending that like Vitek Vanacek was he tweeted like Vitek Vanacek has underwent successful surgery on like his shoulder or like his groin or some shit. And literally like 3 different Caps media people like quote tweeted it and were like, Vitek will be out indefinitely or some shit like that. And then they all had to delete it. And then like Noah was posting for the rest of the day. He was like, guys, it was a joke. Like,
please don't kill me.
And then he literally got blocked by like all these Caps people too, because
funniest guy on Twitter. Hilarious.
So seriously. Speaking of the Caps, shortly following our rant about the NHL Stadium Series games last week, the NHL promptly announced that the Washington Capitals and Carolina Hurricanes are going to play an outdoor game at Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh, North Carolina next season. What are our thoughts here, boys?
I want Mac to go because he sent a text that I've laughed at instantly after this.
Okay, I want to refine a little bit what I said. Here's what I want to say. The Hurricanes are so goddamn desperate to be relevant. Like, all they want is like this bitter rivalry. And like, yeah, I hate the Hurricanes. And yeah, I think a lot of Caps fans do hate the Hurricanes. But they just like, they want this rivalry to be something that it isn't quite there yet. And you know, whatever, we'll beat you guys outside. We're 3-0. So if that's what you want to be relevant, we'll spank you on
You're missing the key detail. I think you said, you're like, fuck, I don't even want to play this game. Like, I think you said something along
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't like just why do we have to play? And because mostly I don't want any of these Stadium Series games to take place at all because of what we were saying like last week or 2 weeks ago. Just I think it's stupid and they should abolish the Stadium Series. But you know, if this is what it takes, then yes, we'll beat the Hurricanes outside.
2 points is 2 points. Austin Matthews, he's the first player to hit the 40-goal mark this season. Hats off to him. He's having a monster year.
Wait a minute. Timeout. I'm sorry. The Hurricanes are playing the Bruins in the Winter Classic and they're getting in the Stadium Series?
The Winter Classic, it's at Fenway again, right? Which isn't that like the third time it's been at Fenway?
It's definitely the second.
Oh, no. Sorry. I read it wrong. The Panthers What? Okay, forget whatever I said. They're not
Are you
playing.
getting punked by Puck Empty right now?
No. This is NHL.com, which also wouldn't surprise me.
Or
if
is
I
it
got punked.
NHL.com?
Ooh.
No. Yeah, right.
It's if it's NHL.com, they might just be releasing the news now because we know how long it takes them to actually do that.
Yeah, I apologize. I got punked. It's okay.
All right.
Cool. You're good. Moving on, the Caps matchup with the Flames. We already mentioned this. It's going to be the 1,000th game with Ovi and Backstrom that they play together. It's going to be a big deal. I think, I know I said earlier it's an insequential stat, but, it's special to watch those two play together. And, we've been blessed for the last God knows how many years to watch that. So just want to say a quick shout out to them. Chris Letang passed Mario Lemieux on the Penguins all-time games played list, becoming third all-time, only behind Sid and Gino. It's a pretty impressive stat. I mean, those three have, rewritten the record books as much as they could in Pittsburgh. Harry, what are your thoughts?
He's played like shit ever since I went to the game, but other than that, yeah, I guess it's cool. I mean, I love Tanger, but man, he can be aggravating, and he's a very polarizing figure in Pittsburgh media. But yeah, congrats to him. I mean, especially after having a stroke. I mean, that's kind of wild, right? I think people forget about that a lot, but the guy actually had a stroke mid-season. I think it was like 2012, like later in the year, and it's just kind of scary, but I'm glad he's made a full recovery, obviously, and he's done really well since then.
For sure. Whose jersey does he wear next year?
I don't want to talk about it. Let's move on.
Cool. The NHL changed up their Stanley Cup playoffs logo for the first time in 13 years.
I don't want to brag.
Think of that.
I don't want to brag, but I tweeted from the EB account that there was no way that logo took longer than 2 minutes to make, and I think it got like 61 favorites. So shout out to myself. Clearly, a lot of people agreed.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I thought it was just very, like, especially that they announced that they were going to change it like a few weeks ago. They were like, big announcement, the logo is changing for the first time in like forever. And everyone was like, okay, where's the logo? And they're like, well, it's coming. And we're like, okay. And then they dropped that and we're like, okay, cool. Why? Like, thanks.
Apparently it took them 2 years to develop that. That's what I heard.
That's actually really funny.
They've had that in the bank.
Logo, go look at it.
This makes me so angry. Like, this just makes me so angry. Like, the drool puddles I leave on my pillow in the middle of the night turned out better than this logo did.
Also, on that initial post about them like going to change it, I saw one comment over and over and over again from different people. And it was getting a lot of likes. And I totally agree. It was like, we don't give a shit about the logo. Just put the banner back on the ice during the playoffs, like where it says Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
They didn't have that like the last 2 years, I think. Yeah. And I agree. Like, there's just something about having that on the ice that when you're watching the game, it like triggers something in your brain that you're like, oh my God, this matters a lot.
Yeah, it's like the Super Bowl logo, at midfield,
Yeah, when you see like your team like wearing, even the patch, it makes a difference. I know they've done that still, but it's the little things that kind of give it the environmental feel. What's that called? Ambiance? What's it?
Nice.
Couldn't spell it, but you can say it.
I did see Jesse Pollock from Bar Down tweeted that the NHL just in general for their logo should go back to the old school like orange and black one, and I am all in for that.
Absolutely. That thing rocked.
It feels like we're going more 90s, like the further we go. Like we got reverse retro, throwbacks. We're starting to see, ESPN's back. Yeah, exactly. Like
fashion is a circle, and like all of that stuff goes in a circle. Trends, all of it. We're in a big fucking loop.
Absolutely. Moving on, both the Oilers and Leafs have stated that they will not pursue a goalie at the deadline. Is this confidence in their groups, or is it just downright stupidity?
For the Oilers, it is downright fucking stupid. What they have is not good enough. And actually, maybe what they're saying is, we're not going to pursue a goalie because we know we're not going to make the playoffs, and it doesn't even fucking matter.
The Oilers are in trouble. I mean, the Leafs are kind of in trouble, but not as much. They can bail themselves out with their offense. But the Oilers are in serious trouble. I mean, they actually might not make the playoffs. And if I was a betting man, which I am, I would probably say they're not going to. In McDavid's 7th season as an Oiler. That's absolutely disgraceful.
How many times has he made it? Twice?
Twice.
Okay.
That's fucking sad, man. Like, I actually feel bad. I
And
feel
one of
like
those was
bad.
the bubble, right? It was the play-in series that they blew it to the Hawks, right?
Yeah. Holy fuck. That's
He
actually
did it against the Ducks before COVID, and
15.
then I think, and then during the bubble, Holy
Wow.
shit, that's crazy. I really do feel bad for the city of Edmonton. I mean, you guys deserve so much better. McDavid deserves
wasting
so much
time,
better.
just wasting time.
Yeah,
I've
I mean,
heard a lot of people saying like if they miss, you got to think he like at least starts to consider like asking to be traded or something.
It's about that time of year, right? We're getting there. Oh, the Oilers can make the playoffs. If not, how much longer can they hold off with McDavid in town? It's like, I don't know.
I will say with the Leafs, I think between Mrazek and Campbell, one of those guys will figure it out. Like I don't think that their situation is like a case of they have two bad goalies and they need help. It's like they're both just like trying to figure it out, and one of them will. The Oilers, Koskinen stinks, and Mike Smith is old.
I read a tweet the other day. I can't remember who tweeted it. It was one of the Leafs guys we follow. It might have been James Myrtle. Jack Campbell battled 10 years to get out of the minors to get his shot at the NHL. He's a competitor. I don't think he's going to go down this easy. And I'm rooting for him. I mean, if you guys ever listen to our Luke Gazdick interview, Soup is a great guy and everybody loves him. Seems like a genuinely good dude. So I'm rooting for him to turn it around. Good old American boy.
We were talking about earlier this season how he was like, I mean, it was early on, but still we're like, this guy might be a Vezina like candidate. So like he's more than capable of like playing really good hockey. He's just going every goalie goes through lulls. It'll be fine.
For sure. All I know is that when he's doing well, our buddy Rick chugs like cans of like Campbell's chunky soup, and I can watch that till the cows come home. So it's just absolutely priceless. The NHL has announced that the reverse retro series will officially return next season. I want to ask you guys this: is this cool, or is it turning into a wait for it gimmick?
I read somewhere that the reverse retro is coming back, but the designs are not going to stay the same as what they were last season.
Correct. They're going to do new designs.
Everyone's getting a new one.
I'm down with that. No, not gimmick. I think you can't gimmick uniforms, in my opinion. I really don't believe that.
See, I think that it objectively is a gimmick. However, I don't care. Like
I'm for
being as much of a like uniform and jersey and logo snob as I am. Like I love that shit. I think all three of us love that shit. Like
Nick's
I don't care. I know it's a money grab.
Yeah,
like,
it's a disease, by the way.
True. I know it's a money grab. Like there's no part of it that isn't. It's the same thing with all the outdoor games. It's like part of that is just so they can make a new jersey and sell the shit out of that to fans and make more money. And like you're right. But I like seeing all the new jerseys, so I don't really care. I'm definitely excited for the reboot.
With that being said, I think it's worth noting that the Capitals could potentially have 5 different sweaters next season. That would be their home, their road, the alternate blue one, the reverse retro that they come out with, and whatever they cook up for the Stadium Series game in Carolina.
That's crazy.
My follow-up question to you guys is, Harry, what do you want to see the Penguins do with this one? Mac, what do you want to see the Caps do with this one? Harry, okay. I just like Robo Penguin. Come on.
Everybody wants it. Just bring it back. It's time. We need it. But I think Mario has something against it. I think he has like PTSD from when we like almost sold the franchise. But we need Robo Penguin back in a big way.
I second that. That like I will fully admit the Robo Penguin is a cool Penguins logo. I liked it way better than the little cartoon holding the hockey stick. For the Caps, I kind of want to see the dome logo. Like
bring the building back. Come on.
If you're watching on YouTube, this is the one I'm talking about right here on my shoulder. But I think it's great. Like we were saying, we're all going back to like this 90s look now, and I feel like that would look really cool on like a black jersey like it was, or even maybe on like a darker blue or something like that. I don't know. See what you can do. Play around. Could be with that sick. Logo.
I mean, I'm a purist. I'd love to see them just bring back the black one altogether. I think the numbering on that one is fantastic. But
the more I look at it and like the more I think about it, our current logo kind of sucks. Just the like Washington Capitals as like just spelled out like that. It's kind of stupid.
Yeah. Do want to say, I think I speak for everyone here that New York Islanders, you guys got a lot of making up to do for this one.
The NHL probably got so pissed at them for that. Like, this is not what we meant.
They're like, okay, Stars, Islanders, Red Wings. Like, I don't know what you guys were smoking together, but like before, but like this time you actually have to try. Like,
especially the win. That's hard for some of the original 6 teams too. It hasn't changed a lot.
the Islanders is so easy. And maybe they're thinking the same thing as you, Harry, where they don't want to go back to their PTSD days, but just give us the Fishermen. Come on. Everyone wants it.
Sent the thing that said that there was like a chance that the Fisherman was coming back for the Isles.
Yeah. I could see it happening. I mean, I know all the Islanders fans like Dean and Mike are absolutely like pulling their hair out right now because they hate it, but
they need an orange uni. They really do.
Orange is tough. Like, it's hard to make look good.
They had an orange one a while ago and they botched it. It could have been cool, but it had like these blue like strips coming in from the inside.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And it was a classic like 2006 era designers overdoing it situation. Like, they almost had it, and I would be down for an orange island.
Do they have the worst history of trying to make jerseys look cool and just having them bomb?
The conversation's about to go another 20. Let's go.
They honestly might, between that stupid black one with like the NY on it and
that was
rough. Like blue one that says like, what does it say?
It looked like a Mets jersey or something.
I think it just said, it says like New York on it or something like that. Yeah. Bad.
Or the Mooterus in Dallas, the constellation one with the cow.
That one's pretty funny.
Because it looked like a uterus.
Wait, aren't we also getting no, that was just for the regular. That wasn't for reverse. I was gonna say the Buffalo.
We should be getting the goat head back.
Yeah, but that's not for retro, right? That's just for
that should just be in general. Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
Anyways, that was what's hot in the Jersey streets, but let's move on to 3 stars of the week. First up, my boy, Jason Robertson, 7 goals in 2 games played, back-to-back hat tricks. First player to have back-to-back hattie since Ovi did it in 2020. He has 100 points through 101 games to start his NHL career. I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. He is the most undervalued player in the NHL and is going to rip the bank apart this summer.
Oof. Yeah. To put it mildly, I mean, he's definitely the best player on the Dallas Stars, which is kind of crazy to say, right? I mean, you think of the Stars and the first 2 names are Ben and Sagan, and I don't even think they're in the top 3 on the team, which is kind of nuts.
Robertson's the real deal.
I would say him, Hintz, Pavelski, and Klingberg if I had to pick 4 off the and Heiskanen, obviously,
Yeah. It's kind of wild, but congrats to him. I mean, and for anybody who didn't watch that second game where he got the second of the back-to-back hatties, the Minnesota Wild were down like 4-1 with like 9 minutes left in the third, and they pulled their goalie at the 9-minute mark, and they actually pulled the game back 4-3 with like 2 minutes left, and then Robertson scored on the empty net after that. So
I'm mad because I didn't get to watch that, but I was looking on the NHL app and I noticed that Robertson had 2 goals. There were 7 minutes left in the third, and it said Minnesota pulled goalie, and I was like, "Oh, no way!" And so I went on and tried to do what I always did, where I bet Robertson to get a hat trick, and our book like wasn't freaking.
You don't say.
Yeah.
No, our book? Are you?
Yeah.
No, you got it wrong.
Death,
There's no
taxes, and that.
And so I was like, well, that stinks. And then I just stopped trying. And then later I looked and I was like, oh, good. He had a hat trick. That's just awesome.
I'll set myself on fire. It's fine. Moving on, Nick Schmaltz, 2nd star of the week, 3 goals, 5 apples in 2 games played. His 7 points on Saturday was the most in franchise history for the Yotes, most by a player this season, and most since Sam Gagner scored 8 points with Edmonton. Very impressive. Given the Yotes some hope, him and Keller have been really lighting it up.
Yotes are sneaky hot right now by Yotes standards. They're 5-5 in their last 10.
I want Vejmelka to like win every single game for the rest of the year and like take this team to the playoffs. I love that team so much.
Can you imagine if this team went to the playoffs next year in a 5,000 seat arena?
I want that so badly, dude. That would be incredible.
Don't sleep. You never know what can happen. Hockey's weird.
They're about to draft like the entire draft class. So
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of young guns, and they're
Yeah.
all gonna be college age. What could possibly go wrong?
oh dear God. And surprise, surprise, third star of the week is Igor Scheisty. 3 wins, 1.67 GAA, and a 957 save percentage. Of course, the dude is
Dominated the NHL like
just
it's a joke.
running through the NHL right now. It's also like really annoying because you start to do the math in your head that the 1-2 tandem punch going forward for the Russian Olympic team is going to be Vasi and Igor.
Assuming they can play, yeah. Also, it's starting to creep into my head that there's a 65% chance that the Penguins play the Rangers in the first round of the playoffs. Stats.
Man.
Just when you thought that they would fall off because Lundqvist retired, we get the new Russian goalie that's the hot, sexy, young commodity in the NHL. And it's like, motherfucker. It's going to be a hell of a series. I'm looking forward to it.
It's cool. I have a feeling that the Caps are somehow going to end up with like the Bruins again and probably lose in 5 again. So we'll be golfing with you guys too.
It'll be a win to make it there.
I didn't say we were losing. Hold on. I didn't say we were losing. I said it's going to be a good series.
No, it's
I'm
okay.
just
Matt
saying
did.
who I'm taking in the first round. If it's Penguins Rangers, that's
You're
we'll be
entitled
golfing
to your
with you
opinion.
guys.
Okay,
For
you're
sure.
entitled to your opinion.
Quote of the week. This one is nothing short of incredible. Comes from our boy Barry Trotz. He said, "Turnovers are like ex-wives. If you have too many, they cost you a lot."
Dead on, Barry. Good job.
That is just absolutely fantastic.
Unhinged.
Yeah,
Unhinged. At Barry Trotz after hours.
it's just
Like,
amazing.
nobody asked him to say that too, which is the funniest part. He's just like, that's what he came up with for that.
Yeah. Shout out to him. And we also want to say a quick shout out before we move on to Yacht Lender. Just want to remind everyone that summer may be over, but there's still never been a better time to get out on the water. Are you looking to finance that new boat or yacht you've always dreamed of? Well, you're in luck because the Yacht Lender is a specialist in marine finance. With partnerships with 15 different banks, he is the right lender for whatever vessel you may be in the market for. Backed by Trident Funding with over 25 years as an industry leader, the Yacht Lender has the expertise and know-how to finance the boat of your dreams. Don't wait. Apply today at yachtlender.com or check them out on Instagram at yachtlender to see others who have already gotten out on the water. Let's go ahead and go around the league. I want to recap some injuries here real quick.
He survived Atlantic City. Just want to put that out there. I think he quite literally tried to kill himself, but he made out okay.
Big boat show, right?
Yeah. Sure, we'll say that. Mark, friend of the program, Rangers insider / I won't use the other term I was going to say. Just texted me Rangers tonight. Bet it, and I can't do it without Igor and Ned. I'm sorry. I know Minnesota's struggling. They're 2-8 in their last 10, but you just got to think the Rangers are not a good team 5-on-5 without Igor and Ned. I mean, they're really not. If you read some of the articles on The Athletic and Forever Blue Shirts, they have holes, but Igor fills a lot of them. But Nick, I know you don't care.
Oh, I'm still sticking with them tonight. I don't know why. I like that matchup. I like it down the middle.
The value's really good. They're up to plus 150.
It's a tough one because I feel like, if anything, what you said about how Minnie is struggling is almost why I don't want to bet it. Because I feel like they're a better hockey team than that. And
like if they're going to bounce back, it would be tonight. Against
the backup goalie at New York, but again, the Rangers could win. I don't know what's going to happen with that one. I'm not touching that one.
All I'm going to say is the only reason I'm sticking with it is because I woke up feeling dangerous. So
I did wake up feeling dangerous and almost threw like 50 on it. But then I was like, I should probably wait for starting goalies. I was shocked to see that Georgiev was getting the nod, but it is what it is.
We're getting to that point in the season,
Yeah, rest him up a little bit. I get
exactly.
It.
Injuries. Speaking of rest, Nick Ehlers returned after missing 19 games following that knee-on-knee collision with Orlov. Great to see him come back after something scary like that. Jacob Vrana made his season debut last night for the Wings against the Yotes after undergoing shoulder surgery last offseason. Always good to see V get back in the show. Snively, 4 to 6 weeks, is out for the Caps. Caps fans, keep your eye on that. You're likely, Mac, I think we're going to see Axel probably up for the meantime with Snively and with Hags out.
For sure, yeah. And Hags too, speaking of injuries, that is tough one. I saw on the Caps Instagram how they give out like the shield and the sword after like their wins, and I think it was Mantha or somebody got the shield or the sword recently and was saying like, yeah, thanks, but like the real warrior right now is Hags because of what he's going through, and he's right. I mean, the guy is dealing with a serious eye injury, which is scary for sure. So
Absolutely. I mean, it could be potentially career ending. We're going to wait to hear and just want to wish him the best. A couple of roster moves to get to. The main one that I want to focus on here is Jared McCann signs for 5 years, $25 million in Seattle. That is Seattle's first contract extension, I believe.
This season, yeah.
Yeah.
And he just hit the 20 goal mark for a team that's not scoring a lot. They're, I think, third to last in goals for this season. So yeah, I mean, props to Jared. It's a shame that we couldn't end up keeping him around and we decided to protect Kapanen instead, but whatever. I'll get over it, I guess.
Yeah, well said. All right, let's get into who's hot and who's not. Harry, I'm going to throw it to you for this. What teams do we have that are hot?
Before we do, I think Mac has a word for our listeners about Sharp Rank.
for sure, yeah. Before we move on, just wanted to remind you that this season, all of our picks are powered by SharpRank. SharpRank created the first ever cross-sport rating system, ranking bettors from any sport on one leaderboard that anyone can dominate, even you. SharpRank is backed by some of the biggest names in the sports gambling world, such as BetMGM, Betway, and Sports Illustrated. Download the app for iPhone and Android today. Speaking of which, boys, again, we're all in the top 10.
Mac, you actually got the big prize this week. You were second on the Gainer leaderboards, and that's amongst all sports on the app.
I saw that little 2 on my page, and I actually was like, wait, what does that mean again? Because I've never seen that. So
yeah, you gained like
nice.
97 overall spots or something crazy. You're hot.
I've been on a roll. I'm trying to keep it going.
You're hot on Sharp Rank too. Anyways.
Wow. Okay. That got kind of interesting there. All right. Teams that are hot, and fellas, jump in because I don't want to go on a soliloquy here. The first team, we mentioned it earlier in the episode. We'll mention it again. The Los Angeles Kings. They're sitting second in the Pacific Division right now. They've won 8 of their last 10 games, and they've won their last 3 in a row. Real impressive win Monday this week where they took down the hot Bruins in a come from behind OT win. The Bruins have been playing really good hockey lately, so that's not an easy thing to do. Jeremy Swayman's been playing really well in net, but the Kings found a way. I think they took that one 3-2, and Andreas Athanasiou gave Jack Edwards a seizure in overtime, so that's always nice to see. Gear up for a home-and-home series against the Sharks this week. Definitely something to keep an eye on. I know the 3 of us have blacklisted the LA Kings from our gambling for the longest time. You never know what you're going to get with this team, it feels like, and we just stay clear of every game.
T-shirt coming soon.
Yeah, they are taking on the Sharks this week, though. So what do you think, Mac?
So one thing that I've noticed is every time the 3 California teams play each other, like whether it's Kings Sharks, Kings Ducks, Ducks Sharks, I see that on the NHL app when I'm scrolling through trying to find out what I like, and it's always just such a big question mark for me. Like it doesn't matter which one of those teams is good, which one's bad, if they're both the same. Kings Sharks, I have no freaking idea. Especially a home and home. Maybe I'll watch the first game and try to get like a feel for it or something, but I'm not touching the first one.
Spot on. It is an absolute coin flip for who's going to win those games.
Yeah, especially, yeah, I agree. Especially with the Sharks, I feel like they kind of have a little bit of history. And
if anything, the Sharks should be added to our list of no bet, because something I've been noticing recently is they will win the most random games that they're not supposed to freaking win. And then the 1 or 2 games that you're like, oh, I think they can handle the Coyotes or whatever. And then they just get like smacked in the face by Karel Vejmelka, and
they
it's like Hurdle and Meyer don't score, so they lose.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
The Kings, I mean, like these guys are only 4 points back on the Flames for the lead in the Pacific.
Crazy.
Could happen. Just saying.
What's it look like to bet the Kings to win that division right now? I wonder.
That's a great question.
Take a peep at that.
Yeah, keep going.
The next team on our hot list, the Dallas Stars. Before we get into their recent success, it's worth noting that the over has hit in their last 3 games, so keep an eye on that. They take on, who do they play tonight? The Predators. Last night when you're listening to this, I do have money on the Stars. One thing I'm doing tonight that I just want to throw out there, the Stars are plus 110 on the money line. So what I'm doing is I'm doing 2 units on Dallas money line regular. And then instead of doing reverse puck line -1.5, I'm actually betting them to win in regulation.
That's a good idea.
As my 1 unit. A little bit more insurance policy. So 2 units on the regular money line, 1 on the regulation money line.
It's also a little bit safer than just like diving in for the puck line because they can still win by 1 in regulation, not get the empty netter, and it helps you out a little bit in that way.
I actually love that move, betting the underdog to win in regulation. I should think about that more. By the way, Kings to win the division plus 1,500 right now.
Holy, are you serious?
Yep. Just to put it in order for that division, Flames to win the division -650. Knights to win it still plus 550. You're only going to win $55 if you bet the Knights to win that division. That's how much Vegas thinks. Like, yeah, they'll pull back. And then it's the Kings at plus 1,500. Everybody else is like, you're gonna like hit the lottery if you bet them.
I'm not a big futures guy because I hate that it just sits in my account. But
I hate that too.
I think I think that value is like too good to pass up.
It is, and when you, especially when you think about how aggressive that team usually is at the deadline, like
that's true.
They've got pieces to move. They're gonna go get someone.
That's a great point.
They even said earlier this year, like, we're gearing up to make a playoff push, which Mac and I openly like mocked for weeks. But
here we are. Yeah, they're almost first in the division.
Here we are. I mean, you have to think about the youngsters that these guys have too. They have Turcotte, they have Byfield, they have Kaliev. Like, these guys can make a difference, and maybe not necessarily on the ice, but they could be moved for someone who could.
Yeah, I think I might actually take that. Thanks for looking that up, Mac. Back to Dallas real quick. Over has hit the last 3 games in a row. They've won 5 of their last 6 and 7 of their last 10. They do have a tough upcoming schedule. They got Nashville tonight, last night when you're listening, the Rangers and Toronto all before we record our next episode. That top line of Hintz, Pavelski, and Robertson has really been clicking lately, and I think that's kind of covering up maybe some of their flaws as a team, but yeah, they're definitely playing well.
This team is so hot and cold. I mean, they're tied with Minnesota for like 3rd and 4th in that division. I think they have like 1 more game played than the Wild do. Yeah, they're, when that line's going, they're great. Other than that, it's kind of a giant question mark with them.
I'm starting to realize it's really going to be a big clusterfuck amongst these 4 teams as to who's going to stay in the playoff picture and who's not. And it's really going to come down to Nashville, Dallas, Anaheim, and Edmonton, right?
I'm so excited for the playoff push that like we're getting there. We're almost there. Normally we'd pretty much be there already, right? But I think the season's going a tad longer than it would in, say, 2018, 19, something like that.
Yep. We actually have the regular season go through the entire month of April instead of ending halfway through this year. So
yeah, and normally crazy. I feel like most games, it's not even halfway through. I feel like usually we play like 2, maybe like 3-4 games in April, and that's it.
It's like up to the 10th and then you're done.
Yep. The next hot team, no pun intended, the Calgary Flames. Holy Christ, are they fucking good? It's kind of scary. Let me read you some stats here. So at home, they've been on a big homestand recently, and they just came off of it. But their last 13 home games, so just remember home when they're at home, they're 12-0-1 in their last 13 at home. They have 60 goals scored in that span, only 21 goals against. They have a 27.9% power play, a 94.7% penalty kill, and goaltenders combined with a .939 save percentage. Elias Lindholm leads the NHL in goals since February 1st with 13. Johnny Hockey has a point in 14 of their last 15 home games, and Toffoli has 6 goals in 10 games since being acquired from Montreal. They are buzzing at home right now.
So one thing I want to commend them for is the Toffoli thing. I love teams that go out and get like an actual big piece like 2 to 3 weeks before the deadline, because then you almost like you give yourself this buffer where it's like, okay, they just got Toffoli and now they get to watch him play for like 3 weeks, and then come deadline time, they have a way better idea if they need to do anything else or if they're actually like no, we don't need to do that much else. This is working out great for us. Or if they just want to make a small move, I think it's really big brain to go out and make a move like that, like just before the deadline, or not just before it, but almost a month before it.
It is big brain. And I think that's a great point because it not only does that and lets them evaluate, do they need to do something else? I think more importantly, it gives him time to adjust to that system. I don't think people realize how hard it is to, let alone uproot yourself from one city and move to another. And to, we talked about this with Volpatti going from a organization like Vancouver, where they were working out like 5 times a day, to go into DC where he was like, are we like doing something today or no?
Right. No, that's actually another good point. And like you said, the trade deadline really only gives you like a month, maybe less, to figure out where you fit in with your new team before it's just playoff time. And like, you need to know what the fuck is going on. So being that he gets even just 2, 3, maybe 4 more weeks than anybody else that would get acquired at the deadline is a huge difference.
For sure.
And just to reiterate, everything that I just read to you guys, all you listeners, was home stats for the Flames. And it is worth noting that 5 of their next 6 games are at home. So keep your eyes peeled. The next hot team, and this is going to make things very interesting for a lot of other Western Canadian teams, the Vancouver Canucks. I got a very important stat about them a little later in the episode, so keep tuning in if you want to make some money. But they're 5-1 in their last 6. 7-3 in their last 10. The offense is clicking right now. That's really the name of the game. Their offense has averaged 4.46 goals per game since February 8th, which is 3rd best in the NHL in that time span. So in the past month, they have the 3rd best offense in the league. And then they've scored 4 or more goals in 8 of their last 11. You can probably see where the important stat that I'm going to give you later is heading. They're 4 points out of the second wild card spot, with Edmonton and Anaheim in a free fall in front of them. Their upcoming games, they've got the Habs, the Caps, the Lightning as their next 3. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do at the deadline with all the rumors surrounding Brock Besser and JT Miller. That's all I got to say.
I saw something this week that said they're likely not going to move Miller, but I've also seen that happen, and then a player in that situation get moved like 2 days later. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I really don't know if this team's going to buy or sell. Like it could go so either way at this point.
I think they should buy. And the reason being is I feel like they're actually not a bad team on paper. They just got off to a horrible start. But ever since Bruce took over, you kind of get that like itch, like, okay, Pettersson's starting to come back a little bit.
And I'm going to agree with you. I think they should buy. And I also wouldn't hate if they sold a little bit too. Like they've got players like Nils Hoglander that a lot of teams have been calling on. I know the Caps were one of the teams interested in him. And that's a guy that skill level could get you a pretty decent return. I mean, maybe not necessarily too. Yeah, exactly. Maybe not necessarily in a role player right now, but in terms of a draft pick, maybe a 2nd or a 1st.
Yeah.
I think what they're asking for JT is probably a little too steep and scaring most teams off, but I could see a world where they make the playoffs and they still deal Besser. I'm not totally sure yet though. But keep an eye on them.
The annoying thing is the rumors I see of both Besser and Miller going to Pitt.
Oh my God. In what world?
They keep saying, well, I think
for Letang and Rust.
No, am I stupid? I'm totally speaking out of my ass here, but I think someone fact checked me on this. I think JT's from Pittsburgh. I'm pretty sure he is.
Sounds right.
Mac, if you don't mind fact checking me on that. The Besser rumors for Pittsburgh have picked up more and more, but to be honest, I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to mess with it.
That's something where I'm just like, I'm reading this, the person that typed this, like we both know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
He's from Ohio, but I bet you he like grew up a Penguins
Pittsburgh
fan because
because it's
like right
40
there,
miles from the line.
And he didn't grow up a Blue Jackets fan, so
yeah. Anyways, interesting team the Canucks are. Keep an eye on them, and if Demko is in net, that's definitely when you'll want to be betting them. And then the last team, the best bang for your buck in the sports gambling world right now, has to be the Montreal Canadiens. They've won 7 of their last 8 games. That is the first time that has happened to them since February to March in 2017. What is going on?
It's a great stat.
What is going on right now?
Wait, that's actually crazy.
You could say that about the Habs every season since 2017. Like, what is going on? Like, missed the playoffs, abysmal hockey team, Stanley Cup final, like right back down. It's
tank for Shane is not working that well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Montreal is always a great value on the money line. 7 of their last 8, so why not? Let's move on to the who's not teams. We'll start off with the Minnesota Wild. They're 2-8 in their last 10. All 8 of those losses are in regulation, so they're not even getting the benefit of that overtime point. Biggest problem for them, based on reading some articles from Michael Russo earlier this morning, the penalty kill. The Wild have allowed 16 power play goals in the past 13 games, and at least 1 in 12 of those games. So the penalty kill is a huge problem. They're giving up one basically every game.
Well, and they better watch out too, because their division, they are out of room for error at this point. Just to put it in perspective here, Colorado's in first with 87 points, Blues in second with 71, and then in third is Minnesota now with 67. Right below them, also 67 points, is Dallas, and right below them, Nashville with 66. So Nashville and Dallas are right behind them. Minnesota only has 1 game in hand, so that's really not going to help too much. They really need to get it together soon, or they might pay the price. One of those teams is going to be the odd man out, maybe even 2 of them.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective with how fast things have changed, back on Valentine's Day, February 14th, when the players were getting extra grilled chicken for $3 extra at their fancy dinner with the wives, they were 9 points behind the conference leading Colorado Avalanche and 9 points clear of the Stars with the 3rd best points percentage in the NHL. Now, fast forward to March. You think they can afford the extra chicken? I think they can.
I don't know why.
Why did you go with the extra?
I don't know why
chicken?
the first thing that pops into my head when you say that is the sliders that Mac's roommate made for the Super Bowl.
Matt goes, "Oh, those were good." Yeah,
like, yeah,
they were good. But I'm just wondering, why was that what popped into your head for Valentine's Day, that they were getting extra grilled, not like box of chocolates or like buying a nice like piece of jewelry for their girlfriends. Now they were getting extra grilled chicken.
Extra chicken, a little $2 extra action. That was back on February 14th. Baby. They were good. Yeah, it is love. Now the Wild are 18 points behind Colorado, and they're tied with the Stars with 67 points. And now they're only 13th best points percentage in the NHL, as opposed to 3rd back on their romance double chicken day. The playoffs, guys, come on. I'm trying to pull through here. The playoffs, the Wild are barely hanging on to the 3rd spot in the Central Division, as Mac just said, and they are very close to falling apart, and they're only 3 points up on the Edmonton Oilers, who are right on their tail. What do you guys think?
They definitely need to get it together. This is definitely a team that I see addressing their problems at the deadline. I think it goes without saying that they could, let's talk in chicken terms here. Maybe make this like a 3-piece combo at the deadline instead of like a 2-piece or something. Like, yeah, a little biscuit and fries. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, I feel like they're giving off big grilled nugget energy, and like that's healthy and stuff, but it's not really delicious.
It's not what I want. Like, let me get what I want.
I think if they just stick to the classic 8-piece nug, then maybe they'll be in good shape. The other thing that they should maybe consider is with the normal, like take Chick-fil-A, for example, the normal Chick-fil-A meal, you get the chicken sandwich and you get the fries, right? Maybe that's what they've been working with, right? The chicken sandwich and the fries. I think they should consider ordering just the sandwich, no meal, just the sandwich, and adding an 8-piece nugget on the side, more chicken, less potato, more bang for your buck,
More meat, less fluff.
Exactly. More meat, less fluff.
I regret everything. Wow. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I think that was actually a pretty good analogy, but do you guys think the Wild will make the playoffs? Yes or no?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I think they will.
Okay.
They're also going to play the Canucks in the first round and beat them.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, and then what's his name? Denny 4,500 is going to be
fucking kill me.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on from culinary school onto the Vegas Golden Knights. They are 4-5-1 in their last 10. A little inconsistent. Their losses have been to some pretty good teams, though. In those 5 losses in the last 10 consist of Boston, 2 to Colorado, and Calgary on the road. So that's pretty tough. Jack Eichel scored the game winner against Ottawa on Sunday night. to give the Knights a 2-1 win. He's got 6 points in his last 9 games, but if you ask me, I still think he's kind of finding his stride a little bit. So in due time, I think he'll start clicking 100%. And we touched on this. The guy who doesn't have a torn labrum after all, Robin Lehner, he's been getting torched by good teams, but he's played well against bad teams. That might sound kind of obvious, but if you look at his last 5 starts, he gave up 4 to the Bruins and 6 to the Flames. And that's not going to work if the Golden Knights are going to end up making a serious push down the stretch here. This is a key stat that you'll want to look out for this week. They have 5 games on the road in the next 7 days. That's a lot of hockey to play. They've got Philadelphia, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Columbus, and Winnipeg all before the end of next Tuesday when we record next. So keep an eye out.
That's a lot of hockey.
It is a lot of hockey. And, you got to think that, how the fuck do you say their backup goalie's name? Brussels Sprouts? I don't know.
Laurent Brossois.
Yep, Laurent Brussels Sprouts. You got it.
Yeah, something like that. We're just going to keep on the food train here. But, 5 in their next 7. So he's going to get some nods, too.
I can see it.
Any thoughts, comments, concerns?
I know. Go ahead, Mac.
I was just going to say, I just Googled Robin Lehner injury, and there was still some stuff about it 3 weeks ago. So there definitely was something. I don't know where we got the labrum thing from, but he, I guess, is fine. But he did have some kind of nagging injury. So I do wonder, if that's going to be an issue for them. I think they'll make the playoffs. I just don't think it's going to be really any different for them once they get there than it has been the last couple of years.
So no Stanley Cup.
No, try asking again.
I don't think they're winning the cup.
Can we go an episode without a SpongeBob reference? I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, you got to have one in there. And also a Steve Brule reference in there too.
We don't have to talk about that.
We got 2 more teams left on the Who's Not. Edmonton Oilers, 4-5-1 in their last 10, dropped a huge game last night to their bitter rivals, the Calgary Flames, at the Saddle Dome. The biggest thing with the Oilers, man, their power play, it was kind of masking all of their, weaknesses earlier in the season. They started the season 16-5, and they had the best points percentage in the NHL as of December 1st. And since then, their special teams has sucked. They have the 23rd ranked power play since December 1st at clicking only at a 18.3%. They were ranked number 1 before December 1st, and I think they were up almost around 35% when the season first started. So the power play is definitely the root cause of everything for the Oilers right now.
I don't know how that power play isn't the number 1 power play unit in the NHL.
Makes no sense. No sense. It really doesn't.
I really do. I said it weeks ago, by the way, but I stand by. I do not think they're making the playoffs.
I think the best thing for them would be to miss the playoffs. Because if they make it and bottom out in the first round, they're not going to change a thing. They're going to be like, oh, we just need to dig deeper and, regroup and come back. And
if they make it, realistically, they're either playing Colorado. That's literally going to be 4 games, 5 if they're lucky. Or I guess technically they could end up with oh my God, Battle of Alberta.
That's the only reason I want them to make the playoffs.
That would actually
needs to be a playoff series.
And you can call me crazy, but anytime you get rivalries like that, it's a coin flip. It's not as lopsided.
No, that's what I'm saying. So maybe they actually could pull off one round, but I'm right, aren't I? Because Colorado is 100% going to be first in the West.
Yeah.
And then let's just assume for a second Calgary wins that division, and let's just assume the Edmonton Oilers get the last wild card, or the second to last wild card spot is what they would need to play the Flames, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You got anything else to add, Nick? Are you good?
No, I'm good.
And then last team on the Who's Not, for the sake of time, Anaheim Ducks. They're 4-6-1 in their last 10. Not quacking very much lately.
Not quacking big time.
A lot of rumors around Ricard, Raquel, Hampus, Lindholm, both pending free agents, and with the trade deadline coming up and the Ducks slipping, you got to wonder if they're going to make some moves.
I've seen some Max Comtois might be a trade chip for them.
Yep, that I've seen that one this week. Seems like it's a big piece that for whatever reason they're considering moving.
And Nick, I know you had some stats about players who are hot instead of teams. I'll let you read those.
Yeah, I did. Jason Robertson, if you want to go back and read the jerk off session we had for him or listen to it, you can. But the dude deserves it. And I think, one of the big things that a lot of people might not remember is that he is from California and would have been on the American Olympic team this year. So just another situation of the IOC shafting the NHL and the NHL shafting us. So that's great. Moritz Seider, a defenseman that I have compared to a young Chris Pronger, has 40 points in his first 54 career games. Do you know what other Red Wings defenseman also did that?
Nick Lidstrom.
Bingo.
Yep.
That's awesome. I love this dude.
He is
incredible. Since first time I ever heard of him, he was on my like NHL franchise mode when you go like way too far into the future. And I was like, oh, this guy's kind of good. And then turns out he's actually good in real life too.
Yeah, absolutely. Mitch Marner leads the NHL in points over the last 16 games played. He's got 30 of them, 20 points in his last 10 road games. This is a guy that's been under the microscope ever since coming into the league for whatever reason. The Toronto media seems hell-bent on just, giving this guy the business. But, shout out to Marner, just having a great year.
He really is. And he's shoving it up everybody's hoop right now. The Leafs are just a walking circus. It is so much drama all the time. It's kind of ridiculous if you really think about it. And a lot of the hate towards him, I feel like, is unwarranted, but he's having a great year. 2 points per game on the road. That's definitely something you want to keep an eye on for prop purposes, if you can bet props and your book lets you.
Mine doesn't, so.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, mine neither.
Wanted to point out two defensemen from Colorado as well, Devon, Taves, and Kayla Mccarr. Obviously, everyone knows Mccarr. He's the fifth defenseman in NHL history with an assist streak of 12 games or more, which is just, the dude's an animal. I feel like he could play forward in the NHL, no problem.
He's also still young. Like, he's going to get better probably, which is insane to think about.
Just stupid. Yeah. $9.5 million looks like a bargain right now.
For sure. Taves, though, is the real bargain here. He's a point per game player since returning from injury, he's got 43 and 43, which is pretty damn good when you consider that the other defensemen that are a point per game in the NHL right now are named Fox, Mccarr, and Yossi.
Yeah, not bad company. Good job, Islanders. Stay hot.
Oh boy. Anyways, let's move on to who's not hot in terms of players. We talked about this a little bit earlier on, but I'm going to point out the Leafs goaltending situation here. They are dead last in the NHL since the start of the new year in save percentage and goals saved above expected. That's an .876 combined save percentage since January 9th as of a day ago. Not good. I know we talked about them potentially making a goaltending change earlier, but Dubas has come out and said that they won't for whatever reason. So Leafs fans, this is what you got to deal with.
Dude, I just read your text. Sorry, this is totally off topic. I actually didn't hear like any of that. Sorry.
Anyways.
Probably shouldn't have said that on recording. Oh, well. All right.
Conversation within the conversation, Well, let's get to some trends. The Vancouver Canucks over has hit 8 games in a row. Anyone want to guess why?
Well, have they been letting in a lot of goals?
They have.
Yeah, I could have assumed as much. You were the one that said this morning too, right?
Did I?
One of you said this morning that the Canucks over had hit like a bunch of times in a row. It was Harry.
I did.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I saw that and I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to hammer the Canucks tonight, but they're not playing tonight. So
yeah,
but they probably play tomorrow, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think they play you guys this week too, which I feel like is an easy over. Caps are always a good over team. I feel like
we're on like a Western
Thank
Canada
you
thing right now
for reminding me of the pain. But
yeah. What about the Leafs though? Overs hit 5 games in a row.
5 in a row, man. I mean, they've given up 3 or more goals in 8 of their last 9, and they've averaged 4.5 against in that span. I mean, we go back to the stat I just read about goaltending. It's not ideal right there. Yeah. And they got to change it up.
Sticking with the over themes, New Jersey, they've been good all year long on the overs. New Jersey overs have hit in 7 of their last 10 games. New Jersey has scored at least 5 goals in 5 of their last 10, which is kind of a surprising stat because you wouldn't think they'd be putting 5 in the net themselves. But here we are. And they had a big win over the Canucks, like 6-2 when the Hughes brothers faced off. So just another example of, you might not think, especially given how hot the Canucks are, that that's going to happen. But New Jersey overs are definitely a good bet. And then the last trend that I would say is a solid bang for your buck, and I'm stating the obvious here, but if you can get the Rangers at like minus 140 or better in Igor's and net, you basically have to take it. I mean, you can't not.
And if you're like, you don't want to bet because you might lose because it's a minus, just wait. And if they get scored on, just live bet them and your odds are going to get better.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to wait it out, you always can. And both of you have been really good about helping me like understand that, because I used to just jump the gun before the game all the time. So live betting's definitely become a bigger part of my portfolio, if you will. State of the Union. Let's make this quick because I got to wrap up here soon. But to put it short, Caps fans, specifically you two, what's a realistic deadline move that you need to see?
Nick, you want to go first or second?
I can go first. I was at the Caps game this weekend, got to hang out with Court a little bit. It was great to see her and catch up. Got to, see some buddies of mine that I hadn't seen in a while. Shout out to my buddy Sean. But another guy I got to see is Callie Yarncroak. And that's a player I could really see the Caps scouting and making a move for. I think it's a player that adds a little bit of sandpaper and a little bit of grit that we might not think off the top of our heads onto that bottom six that I think could be a great fit.
If we're talking I like that one, by the way. If we're talking forwards, I like Yarncroak, but I also like Connor Garland as a possible option.
It's a really good one.
I've heard Tanner Pearson tossed around too, and I'm not as crazy about that one. But I think Connor Garland actually could be a good fit with us. And then if we're talking goalies, which I really, 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 really hope that we are, really the only two realistic ones that I think we could actually maybe acquire, and even one of these is probably not realistic, I would say would be like Holtby as like the probably not realistic one. I just don't think we have enough to give up to get him back, and I don't think Dallas really wants to move him either.
Not with them being like just outside playoff.
They're
contention.
on the bubble.
They're not going to move a goaltender in a situation like that.
Right. But the other one that I actually think we could get, I'm just not quite sure if I totally want it or not, would be Korpisalo from CBJ.
Yeah. And I sort of agree with you in that regard. Like, you don't know if it's going to fix the problem
or just give us another like subpar goalie.
And I wouldn't even say it would make it worse by any means. It would just be more of the same,
Right. And if we're going to give something up just to get that, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Perry, what about you?
Pens are interesting. I don't know. I mean, there's obviously been a lot of Besser talk. I don't know how I feel about that. I've heard some Kessel rumors thrown around. I'm also not sure how I really feel about that. I'm hoping Kapanen turns it around, but we really need to get him going. And if he doesn't get going soon, he might be getting shipped out. I think
that's your best bet.
Shipping Cappy out.
Yeah, that's a great trade piece right there. I mean, whether you want to go picks or just players,
yeah, the problem is I know the upside's there, and he's a free agent after this year, and he's not playing well, so you're not going to have to pay him a ton, but I think the upside's still there. I'm seeing Travis Hamnick's name come around a lot from Vancouver. I know they want to get a little bigger on the back end. I know right now, Mark Friedman's been playing because Matheson's been hurt, and he's the guy who's kind of chucking them and protecting guys. I think we need another one of those, especially if we're going to be, playing Rangers, Capitals, those kind of teams in the playoffs. I think Hamnick would be a good addition. I'm just trying to think like Ricard Raquel from Anaheim would be another good one. We need like a middle six winger. Something in there is kind of my bread and butter for the team.
But you need like Yarncroak or Garland.
Yeah, I've seen Yarncroak is like a poor man's Arvidsson, right? He's not going to get you 30 goals, but
they were teammates too.
Yeah, he's gritty. I think he's right-handed. He's got a good shot, but maybe not great with the puck. He kind of reminds me of Arvidsson a lot. So I don't know. We need a second line winger.
He's a gamer too. Like, he shows up in big games in the playoffs.
He does. And the one thing I don't know about is Zucker, because apparently he's been dealing with an abdominal injury all season and the production was dog shit. Well, he's slowly coming back. And if he can just be what we're paying him to be, which is that Minnesota like 25 goal guy second line. Someone's got to find the second line. Like that's Heinen, Malkin. Who's the last guy? That's really what we need. Someone who can score. I don't know who that is. And I don't really. Hot topic is like trading the first round pick right now. If you're Hextall, and people are saying do it. And then when Rutherford did it, everyone crucified him. And I was like, well, you pick your fucking poison. Like you can't have it both ways. You either
do you want to go now or do you want to go later? You got to
right. You're either going to suck in 5 years and you deal with it, or you're not. And
you're going to, suffer now. So
right. I don't really think we need to move it personally, but we'll see what happens.
Sure.
I like where the Penguins are at. I feel good about this team right now. I think if we played New York and nothing changes, they have the better goalie. They have power plays are a wash. We're better 5-on-5, if you want my honest opinion. Statistically and on paper, I think we're a little deeper.
And you're battle tested.
That's the thing. A lot of Igor's never played in the playoffs. You got to also remember that. It's a different animal. And granted, Jari's track record is not good. So God knows what we're going to get out of him.
You're right, though. He only had like 3 games in the bubble, right?
I don't even know if that was Shesterkin in net when they played Carolina. I can't remember who it was. But
I don't
probably got one of them.
I don't think it mattered who was in net with the way the defense played, but
yeah, that's the thing is like, yeah, Igor is like this unstoppable Russian beast, but like playoffs are different, I don't know. Just
well said.
And best of 7 is different too. If it's a 1-game thing, yeah, they might win, but like
Mark is absolutely cooking right now. Listen to this.
Also best of 7 with like full arenas too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. How much does experience play a role? I don't know. I mean, I would like to think. Here's the other thing I would also say. We haven't won a fucking playoff series in 3 years. We're kind of due to win one. Like, that's my whole argument here is like the Penguins are due to go on a little bit of a run here, like a 3rd round, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I know you guys are just.
Is that just like the consensus among the like?
We're due. This is the last dance. Like people don't realize it. This is the last time the band's getting back together.
Is there an orb under that desk or something?
I think we're gonna win the Stanley Cup.
Like a little. Wait a minute.
I think we're gonna win the Stanley Cup now. We're not gonna lose a game. 16-0.
That's enough.
16. No, in all seriousness, I don't know what's gonna happen. But all right, fellas, I got to get rolling here shortly. I'm gonna go try to win my beer league team a game and see what happens. That should be fun. Playing the fire department, and last time we played them I got punched in the face. Thank you.
Yeah, it's always gonna be a gritty one.
Yep.
And I'm wearing a visor tonight because my cage broke, so that should be a good one.
Giddy up.
Mac, you ever get a puck to the face in beer league? I'm terrified.
I always wear my cage, except when I played outdoor on that little pond hockey tournament, I wore just the bucket, nothing on the front.
Oh,
I like that.
Gritty.
Well, because there's no goalies too. It's just a little like pond hockey net. So I'm like, okay, I think I can like get my hand up there in time if something deflects up or something. But like for actual beer league games, I go cage every time. It's just not worth it.
You don't want to mess with this, right? That's where the money comes from.
Come on. I run a podcast. My face is on the internet every week.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Although maybe we'd get more listeners if I had a little, chicklet missing.
True.
Alrighty, everybody. We appreciate the love and support as always. And without further ado,
class dismissed.